Welcome to ISRA League's Grand Touring Championship, brought to you by Z1 SimWheel. Now with the Z1 SimWheel LCD display software, so that you can run it on your own computer without the hardware installed to be bought and put into your rig. So run it on another computer, run it on your same computer. That's the Z1 SimWheel LCD display software, available at z1simwheel.com. Well, this is Race 2 of Season 8. It is the Dairy State 70, and I'm Daniel Quaroni, and with me here tonight are Anthony Muniz.
Great to be back for another race.
And our league admin, Daniel Gralti.
Good to be with you guys.
Well, we come off the 2 hours of Spa to look at the point standings here. In Daytona Prototype, Mike Kelly leading with that big win with 25 points. Brian Carey just shy of him, and Carlos Passos also pulling a nice third from Spa. We've got Timothy Stoll and Russell Cow, Brent Briles, Mike Taylor, and that's all I had time for. In the Cadillac, we have James Cullen taking the win at Spa, Eric Palacio second, Mark Payne third, then Todd Carver, Eduardo Prado, and then cracking the 10-point difference is Daniel Vernes in sixth, Colin McLean, Daniel Gralti, Thomas Stockman, and then John Kuzland. Well, we're going to have the map coming up next. Who wants to take it?
I'll go ahead and walk us through that there, Dan, as soon as it pops up here. This is going to be a little bit different than what we had last season because there's only 2 classes instead of 3, so we shouldn't see, oh, here we go. Big passing zone opportunities down into turn 1 after the long front straight. Not as easy as going into turn 5, though. I think that's where we will see most of the passing done. That's a long straight into a tight turn, so look for a lot of action there. The long back straight down to Canada Corner, also going to be a hot spot for passing. And the kink in the middle there, turn 11, that could also present problems as it's very, very quick for Daytona Prototypes, just a little lift. And the Cadillac's going to be on the brakes a little bit more through there. And then this is really a great track, one of my favorites. Unfortunately, I didn't get to race here, but we should be up for a awesome time.
And speaking of awesome times, Russell Cow takes the pole with 1 minute 57.095. Brian Carey almost a full second behind him in second. Then second row is John Middleton, Carlos Passos. Then Mike Kelly and Timothy Stoll. On the 4th row are Patrick Spence and Brent Briles. And finally we have Chuck Chambliss and Marty Jeffries.
And for the Cadillacs, we had Eduardo Prado taking the pole away from James Cullen, who's, I think, used to be sitting on that. Just behind him was Lauren Bateman, and then James Cullen down in 3rd place with Todd Carver. All of those guys super close in times, along with Mark Payne and Colin McLean, just barely off by hundredths. So this is a great-looking field in both classes.
Well, quite a long pace lap, so we've got a bit more time to kill while the cars make it their way through. You can see coming out of the carousel here, and, well, no, just going through it. They're about to come out and then head towards the kink.
I think we got to keep an eye at the back of the caddy field. A usual front runner, Daniel Vernes, is I believe qualified all the way back down in 41st, so keep an eye on him to come through the field.
Yeah, this Cadillac class has we've only seen 1 race so far, but we've seen a lot of strong competitive drivers in the class. I believe James Cullen brought up what the strength of field would be for all of the drivers here, and it worked out to something like 3,500 or something. It was, just crazy how many good drivers there are. And if you can't get a clean lap in, this is multi-class, so we do have open qualifying with both classes of cars on the circuit at once. And so if you do if you have a trouble during qualifying, you can find yourself all the way in the back leg for Ness has, and you can see his car right there on the almost back row. So he'll have a lot of work to do to climb his way back up to the front. We know he is a very strong driver. He's got very fast pace, so it should be fun to watch him try and fight his way up to the front.
And it looks like the Daytona Prototypes are about to head around and join the front straight. There we go. As the camera pans up, the pace car heads into the pit lane. Got the hour 10 on the clock, and in just a moment, we'll get to green. And it looks like the cars are accelerating just ahead of the green, and they cross the start finish now, and there we go, green flag.
And with such a big Daytona prototype field, that is quite a sight watching all of them head down into turn 1. Looks like everyone gets through cleanly so far. We'll have to see if we can't catch no dirt trails coming up from the Cadillac, so it looks like everyone gets by cleanly so far. And this is yeah, here's all the Cadillacs right now. That is quite a sight. Looks like there's some guys jostling for positions as they head into turn 3, going down onto the back straight. And right now it's going to be a couple laps before these guys kind of get settled into their positions. A lot of them actually are single file already, so a lot of guys just getting settled into the positions as they head down towards turn 5.
Yep, that's Kenny Coughlin there in the yellow car. I think he managed to pick up a position there. I'm not quite sure. Oh, and the number 6. I'm sorry, I'm not quite
John
sure.
Kelly.
John Kelly, all right. Looks like he was fighting for position there as well.
Jump on board here with Carl Mumbauer in his Daytona prototype, and he's currently fighting down in 20th. So that just goes to show how big the prototype class is now, with only 2 classes in the GTC. Last season we wouldn't see 20 prototypes on the circuit at one time, so that just shows that there is so much fighting to be had in this class. Right now he is looking to chase down, missed who that was, but we'll jump on board with Todd Carver, who is a front runner right now up in the Cadillacs. He's right on the tail of Mark Payne, and you can see they're just behind the top 3 cars in class, as well as looks like Todd Carver's going to try a move going down into Canada corner. It's going to be on the outside. He gets on the grass, goes very wide. Will he keep it off the tires? Yes. Okay, that was the big thing right there. He got wide, missed his braking point because he was on the grass, so he couldn't slow down in time, and that is very easy to do, especially if you're battling with someone. But he manages to keep it off the tires, which is the important part, and he'll continue on, although much farther down in the field.
And very nice job of keeping it off the wall there. That can get real slick out there on the grass and through that gravel trap. Real easy to hit the wall. That wall is not very far off the track.
Yeah, especially when half your car is off the track, it's very easy to rotate it right around just under braking.
Yeah, something else I was going to point out. That was good of him to keep himself from spinning when he was trying to brake with 2 of his tires on the grass. So, well, good driving there by Todd Carver. As we look now at Matthew Voigt, he's going to be diving down the inside. Brent Briles, as they head down into turn 5, easily takes a position there. Oh, but he spins it coming out of the corner. So I was going to say, and it looks like he gets damage on the rear. His wing is bent. That's unfortunate. That is easy to do if you're not careful with throttle acceleration, or you get a little too much on the curbs there. So unfortunately, that's going to be damage for Matthew Voigt.
Looks like we've got Daniel Verness up to 14th in class already, making his way by a number of cars in the early going.
Yeah, like we pointed out earlier in the program, it looks like he gets a little, yeah, it looks like he gets off, and now he's in the grass. So he's gonna, unfortunately, he loses pretty much all of the time that he's made up. He gets a little bit wide coming out of turn 6, and had to get out of the throttle to avoid spinning. But yeah, like we pointed out earlier in the program, that he is a very, very fast and competitive driver in GT cars, and we expect him to move up quickly. But unfortunately, he's just made a little bit more work for himself. This is on board with Jeremy Burris. He's currently running in P10, just behind Brent Briles, who manages to hang on to his 9th position because Matthew Voigt spun his car coming out of turn 5. Although it looks like Jeremy Burris might be looking to contend for that 9th spot in class. He's quite close to the back of Brent Briles. Also looks like John Middleton looking very racy in the early stages of the race. He's battling right behind Brian Carey, who has fallen down to third. He's been passed by Carlos Paso, so he loses a position from where he qualified. Both of those guys had a excellent battle during Spa, so we look for that to continue here at Road America. We go on board now with Daniel Verness as he is currently in 20th position, trying to fight his way up after a poor qualifying showing and then a losing time coming out of turn 6.
Well, it looks like he sure does like the grass over there, getting a little bit more of it, but didn't look like he lost any time that time to it.
It looked like there was a bit of drama there coming out of turn 5. We saw a couple cars off in the grass, and that looks like Jeremy Burris in his Daytona prototype, who was up in 10th, now in 17th, according to our timing and scoring. So he had some sort of issue going into turn 5, or coming out of turn 5 rather. He lost quite a bit of time. He'll have to fight his way back up. Here's the battle for first place in the Cadillacs. It's Eduardo Prado and James Cullen. James Cullen moving up a position from his qualifying time past Lauren Bateman, although Bateman is just behind. So these guys had a very, very close battle at Spa, and they that battle had James Cullen coming out on top, and they continue it here at Road America.
That looks like followed very closely by Lauren Bateman and Mark Payne, not far behind them either.
Yeah, Mark Payne currently only just over a second off of Lauren Bateman. So I know that he's been. Oh, it looks like there's a car off, and I can't. Is that? I think that might be PJ Losi, who has moved up into the Daytona prototype class. We've seen a bit of PJ Losi over the past seasons. He's keeps very busy, so unfortunately he isn't able to race with us all the time, but it's good to see him coming back up. But yes, getting back to the battle in Cadillacs. Top 4 are quite close. They're all within 2 seconds down to 4th. And then if you go down even farther, Daniel Gralty, who has so graciously joined us in the commentary box, is running in 5th, about 2.5 seconds off the leader. So that's very, very close racing up in Cadillacs. And that is Patrick Spence in the number 2 Daytona prototype getting squarely coming out of turn 5, and that allows Chuck Chambliss to come by and take the position. That will move Chuck Chambliss up to 6th place in class. And that's a good showing for Chuck so far after his I wouldn't say poor performance, because it wasn't really his fault. His internet connection was preventing him from racing properly. And again, Jeremy Burr is having trouble in turn 6, and that will drop him down even farther. Carl Mumbauer now up to 16th in class, so he is able to move up, if anything, just by attrition of the guys in front of him going off the circuit.
And apparently putting a bit of pressure on John Middleton there.
Yeah, something must have happened with John Middleton, because we saw him just a lap or two ago up fighting with Brian Carey, so he had some sort of issue or incident, and that moved him back quite a long way down the field. We'll hop on board, or looking back from the Cadillac Clifton Cockrell. He's currently running in 15th. Oh, and he goes wide. That is turn, what is that, turn 8. That he runs a little wide. He'll drop a position, and it looks like that is
Gregory Schaefer right behind him.
Gregory Schaefer, rather.
Yes, thank you. He has that lovely sun-kissed painted car, one of the good-looking Cadillacs in the field that we have running. And here's the battle for first, basically. 3 cars, almost nose to tail, with Eduardo Prado leading them currently, and it's really, this is a 3-way battle. These guys are all very, very close right now. And not far behind Lauren Bateman. We can't see him on screen right now, but it's Mark Payne. He's about just over half a second behind Lauren Bateman, so he could very easily come up and challenge for those positions as well. And looks like Daniel Coroni able to make up an easy spot there. Brent Briles possibly missing his braking point, having to take the corner very wide to be able to actually make the corner. And that is another spot moved up for Daniel Coroni. He moves up into 8th place. Brent Briles, meanwhile, loses 2 positions on that corner, as Mike Taylor is also able to get by. And Carl Mumbauer here loses a position to Jeremy Burris as he tries to fight his way back up the field.
And we're probably going to see quite a bit of that tonight, as that braking zone in turn 5 is steeply downhill, and it's very easy to overshoot that. There's a lot of runoff there, so a lot of room to from hitting any walls, but it's quite common to miss your braking point there and end up wide.
That's very true. We just saw a battle in turn 5 right there between the two leading cars in the Cadillacs. That was James Cullen on the outside looking to challenge. He was side by side as they went through the corner, but Roto Prado was able to pull it up as they headed side by side through turn 6, and that gave him the advantage he needed to maintain first position. But James Cullen looking to challenge right away in this race, and we'll watch here the battle between John Middleton and Jerry Morsdorf. That is a ongoing battle also in the Daytona prototypes, but really I think this is going to be the biggest battle here for a while. It's become a almost 5-way battle. You can see the top 4 cars there very, very close nose to tail. Then just behind we have Daniel Gralti and Colin McLean. So this is the top 6 cars in class. They've almost broken away into a bit of a train here, and they're all battling very hard. Colin trying to find a way around, thought about maybe doing an undercut. He does get alongside as they head down into the last couple sections here, the 13 and 13A little chicane complex, I guess you could call it, into the final corner to 14. Wasn't able to complete the pass, but very, very close racing between the top 2 guys in class, and really the top 6, I'd say, because they're all within about 2 seconds now in the Cadillacs.
And what you can't see, or you may have gotten a glimpse of, was Jerry Morsdorf off to the right of John Middleton there, and John Middleton's got the pass.
Yeah, like our other Daniel. This is a little bit difficult for me because we have 2 Dans here commentating, but like Dan Gralti pointed out earlier, the turn 5 we can see a lot of guys going off because you can really, because there is so much runoff, you can really try and push your braking point as deep as possible, and sometimes you just overshoot it, and that's the result there. But here's the top 6 cars in the Cadillac. Oh, well, I guess we'll jump away to a little bit farther back. This is Daniel Verness continuing to try and claw his way back up to the front. It's going to be a tall challenge for him, I'd say. He's currently in 17th, making the pass for 16th. So we've been going for about 20 minutes or so. No, 10 minutes. So we're still early in the race so far, and he's managed to move up a few positions, although he's kind of made it a bit harder for himself going off the circuit a few times. But it'd be interesting to see how far he's able to climb his way back up the Cadillac field.
It looks like John Kelly here getting a run on at Gary Miller, I believe.
And another guy getting a run on is John Middleton. He's looking to get by John Rasudas there in the 01 Daytona prototype. Didn't quite have it going into turn 1, but he did get a nice draft off him, so look for him to challenge as they get through turn 3 and then head down towards turn 5. That is a long straight, allows them to use a bit of draft and then try and outbrake their competitor. Oh, and Jeremy Burris, again, he's having, I don't know if he's having setup issues or what, but he was just off the track there on the driver's hand right side coming out of turn 3. So, again, losing more time there as he gets off the circuit. Not exactly sure what's going on with Jeremy Burris tonight.
The car seems a bit loose maybe for him. We're seeing a lot of back end sliding around as he's getting to the exits of those corners, and it's kind of carrying him off track.
Yeah, I think that is something that is fairly easy to do here, because most of the circuit you want to get as fast of an exit off a lot of these corners as you can, because the straights are so long. If you get a bad exit, you're gonna be down on your top speed heading down the straightaway, and that will allow guys to get drag by you, and so that can be tempting to try and use too much acceleration coming out of the corners that lead onto long straightaways, and that could be another issue that he might be trying to push his car too hard at this moment. But John Rasudas is now under attack as they head into Canada corner. John Middleton will easily take the pass there on the inside, and that will move him up another position, as looks like Brian Carey now has been passed by Chuck Chambliss. So Brian Carey, I think, having a bit of struggling a bit here at Road America. Remember, he qualified in second position, albeit close to a second off of Russell Cow, who qualified on pole. But Brian Carey, I think, struggling with his car a bit today as he's fallen down into 6th place, and could also come under attack from Patrick Spence, who is not far behind, as you can see right there. Give another look at that awesome livery painted on Gregory Schaefer's Cadillac as he gets by. I believe that was John Kelly's Cadillac as he went wide coming out of turn 8. We go on board now as Chuck Chambliss, going wide. Nope, turn 8 again, catching another driver out, and that allows Brian Carey and Patrick Spence to both drive by coming out of that corner. So we've seen a lot of guys driving off circuit so far, and we're not even really that far into the race yet. And there's that magnificent Cadillac train, top 6 cars in the class right now, all fighting for position, and I don't really think we've seen the top 6 stick together so closely so far, albeit we're only 2 races into the season, but even last season we haven't seen anything quite like this, I don't think.
And this is a track that may allow that a bit more with the draft. It's if you lose the draft of the cars ahead of you with these long straights, it can be very easy to begin to fall back from a train like this. If you can keep in the draft, then it can be very easy to stay with guys that you might not normally be quite as quick as.
Yeah, that is a good point. The couple guys, we saw that at the very opening stages of the race, it was basically the top 3 cars, which were Eduardo Prado, Cullen, and Bateman. Those guys were the main, the 3, and then they kind of picked up Mark Payne. He was able to catch up. Not sure if that was because the top 3 guys started battling with each other or what. And then we saw Daniel Gralty kind of pick the pace up, and he got latched onto the train. And then Colin McLean was able to get up and get attached to the train. So the train kind of just is, at this point, I think this is as big as it's going to get. The next car would be Julio Palacio down in P7. But he is about 3 seconds off of Colin McLean. So unless there's a mistake here that slows all of these drivers down, I don't think we'll see this get any larger. But I think as we saw the top couple guys fighting for position, that slowed them down a bit and allowed the other drivers down in, say, 4th, 5th, and 6th to latch on. And then, like Dan said, that once they get in the draft and they can maintain the relative pace, that allowed them to stick right up there with the top 3 guys. And here's a good battle here. This is Todd Carver. Oh, well, we'll jump away from it now, but Todd Carver, he's had a few issues so far this race. He's gotten off a few times, and he's dropped out of our timing and scoring. We can only see up to 12th position, unfortunately, so I can't see exactly where he's at right now, but he's fallen down. Hopefully he'll be able to fight his way, get back up. We know he is a quick driver, so he should be able to do so as long as he doesn't make any more mistakes.
And I believe that was Ryan Huff in 12th that he was battling with, so that should put him 13th there. And in fact, we rejoined that battle, and Ryan Huff getting a little loose there and giving Todd a chance to get that spot.
Yes, that is a very keen eye you have, and he's going to be able to drive by down the straight before they even hit the braking zone for turn 5. And that was something that I brought up earlier with Jeremy Burris, who might have been pushing his car a bit too hard as we watched Brent Briles and Mike Taylor fight it out as they head down into turn 3. It looks like Briles is going to challenge, and he'll take the position going down onto the straightaway. But it looked like Brian Huff possibly got in the power a little bit too early or applied too much power, and that cost his overall top speed. Oh, and that's John Kelly off at turn 5, another victim of turn 5. But you saw how easy it was for Todd Carver to just drive by him before they even hit the braking zone. So it is crucial to get a good exit speed to maintain the overall top speed of your car, so you don't have things like that happen. Oh, and John Milton getting into Gilles Moret, and that's quite a messy incident there at turn 6. Both drivers, I'm assuming, are going to pick up some sort of damage. I'm not sure how much. It looks like Gilles Moret might have some sort of broken suspension. His car is kind of weaving around, and unfortunately that will drop him back quite a bit if it is indeed damaged. Looks like John Middleton might have got the better end of that. He was able to pass Moret and continue on a little bit faster than Moret was, but unfortunate coming together there. That is a easy turn to do so.
And it looked like we had James Cullen picking up the lead of the Cadillacs, possibly. Looked like Eduardo had a rough exit there from turn 14 and gave James the run down the straight.
Yes, you are definitely right on that. A lot of drama is going on so far in this race, and we're only 20 minutes in. This is quite exciting, I'd say. This is a lot of racing. A lot of seem to be small mistakes happening, dropping guys back and then having them have to fight their way back up through the field. As we watch the number 11 Cadillac of Daniel Gralty and Colin McLean, these guys are fighting it out for 5th, and that's Lauren Bateman. Looks like he had an incident coming out of turn 5, another victim of turn 5 here at Road America. That drops him back into 5th place. Daniel Gralty moves up to 4th. Unfortunately, they've kind of been disconnected from the nice train that we had going for in the top 6 of Cadillacs. He's Daniel Gralty about 2 seconds off of Mark Payne, who has moved up into 3rd place after Lauren Bateman had his incident at turn 5.
Yeah, and it actually illustrates something about the Cadillacs in what I actually had happen was blocking up a little bit of the rears going into turn 5, which caused me to get a bit loose. But more importantly, it heated up the rear tires, and once you get the tires heated up in the Cadillac, it is very difficult to cool them back down, and the car gets very slippery. You really kind of have to back off when you get those tires overheated, and it can be a lot of work and really set your pace back when they're overheated and you need to try and get them cooled.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up, because I think we might have mentioned this in the Spa broadcast, that the way that these tires work for the Cadillac is they're very, very grippy when they're new and cold. You see a lot of guys doing very, very slow outlaps in qualifying to try and have the tire temperatures fairly cool for their flying lap, because that's when the tires are fastest. If you do heat these tires up, if you do spin the tires, if you get sideways, if you're sliding the car a lot through the corners, like you pointed out, it's very, very difficult to get them cooled back down to a operating temperature where they do provide the most grip. And you really do have to take it easy for a lap or two at least to try and get the tires back to a more normal operating temperature. That can be hard as a driver too, because if you are heating the tires up because you made a mistake, it's your natural reaction to try and push the car harder to make up the time you lost. And really, with this Cadillac, that can only kind of breed more trouble for you, because you're just going to continue to try and heat those tires up if you're pushing this car too hard. So that is a very, very tight balancing act that all the drivers have to kind of keep in mind throughout the race if they do happen to make a mistake on circuit. And we ride on board now with Mark Payne. He's currently sitting in P3 for the Cadillacs, not far behind Eduardo Prado. You can see him just up in front of him right there as they head down the kink and down to Canada Quarter. But those guys have fallen off James Cullen a bit. Part of that could be traffic. You can see the lead Daytona prototype, Russell Cow, making their way through, so that's almost a full lap he's put on the Cadillac so far. But right now it's getting close to 2 seconds between James Cullen and Eduardo Prado, and that looks like
it's Jerry Morsdorf running wide, and
yes, thank you.
Jeremy Burris picking up another spot.
And something I was going to point out, it looks like there's a bit of damage on the back of the Whoop-Ass racing machine, so I'm not sure if that helped play into it. But look at this battle here for the top position in Daytona Prototypes. It's a battle between 3 cars. 2 of them go side by side into turn 1. It's Russell Cow in the lead, but Carlos Passos and Timothy Stoll are right under his rear wing fighting for that position. This is so close, and there's a bit of Cadillac traffic that they're going to be catching here as they head down towards turn 5, so that could play a factor into that, depending on how many more cars are in front. But so as soon as the battle between for the top spot and Cadillacs has kind of died down a bit, we have the battle for first in Daytona Prototypes heating up.
and I'm not sure if it was traffic, but Russell Cow had opened a bit of a gap, and now it looks like getting through the Cadillacs has brought Carlos Passos and Tim Stoll right up behind him.
Well, I think we might have seen a bit of this last race at Spa, where Russell Cow had a great qualifying lap, but in the race we had Mike Kelly I don't remember exactly how far in front he finished, but Mike Kelly showed excellent race pace. And maybe it's just the fact that Russell Cow able to do these amazing qualifying laps, but maybe his race pace, especially once they hit traffic, is not quite as strong as his qualifying pace that he has. And here's a pretty good battle, a bit farther down in the, well, we'll jump away from it now, but that's a good battle that is happening in the Daytona prototypes between Brian Carey and Patrick Spence. As for the battle for 4th place, so Brian Carey able to claw his way back up a couple more spots. Oh, and Daniel Qualroni having a little issue there as they head out of Canada Corner. I believe that would be turn 13, and luckily keeps it off the wall and manages to continue, but does a little bit of catches a little airtime there as he runs over that curb. And here's a interesting battle. This is Daniel Gralty leading the number 1 car of Lauren Bateman. That's the battle for 4th place. We know Bateman had an incident in, I believe it was turn 5, and that caused him to drop back off of that lead 3-car group. So now it's going to be interesting to see how much pace he has over Daniel Gralty, if any, and if he does have that pace, how long it takes him to get past him. And that wasn't much of a battle or much of a challenge for Patrick Spence, as Brian Carey becomes another victim of turn 5 running wide. Didn't lose a whole bunch of time there, but he did lose a position, and now he's going to have to try and challenge Spence to take that 4th spot in class back.
And that's let Mike Kelly behind them close about a 7.5 to 2 second gap on him.
Yeah, this is quickly becoming a very close 3-way battle for 4th place, as so we've got almost 2 groups in Daytona prototypes right now fighting for 1 position. We've got Cow, Passos, and Stoll. Although that battle has separated a little bit now, Cow able to pull out about a 1.5 second gap over the other 2. And then we have the battle between Spence, Carey, and Kelly. Those guys right now are very close together. And here, is that James Cullen. He seems to be very, very off base.
Well, that looked like it was James Cullen getting loose out of the kink and allowing both Eduardo Prado and Mark Payne to get by. And that's another one that's very easy to do, much like the breaking into turn 5. If you get a little touch of the grass exiting the kink, it can be very easy to lose the car there.
Yeah, you have to get off the throttle immediately if you don't want to spin the car. And that's something that we pointed out earlier in the broadcast, that if you have a bad exit out of these corners that lead onto these very, very long straights, it's so easy for other cars behind you to just drag right past and really make an uncontested pass on. That looked like, I just caught it out of the corner of my eye. It looked like there was a bit of contact there between Daniel Qualroni and a Cadillac. I couldn't quite see. I unfortunately had another...
Yeah, that was Colin McLean.
So that will drop Colin McLean back a little bit. Looks like he's able to continue on without too much of an issue. Luckily, these Cadillacs are fairly hardy beasts and are able to take a little bit more bumping and banging than, say, something like the Le Mans prototypes that we've run here in the past. We'll jump on board now with the Kaiser Rennsport Daytona prototype of Brian Carey as he tries to chase down Patrick Spence. And he's stuck right on the back of Spence. He has, after his turn 5 incident, Spence hasn't been able to pull away. But Carey hasn't been able to just drive right by either. So they're quite close in pace, so that should be a good battle. Mike Kelly is also involved in that battle a little bit farther back, close to a second off of Brian Carey. So that could... potentially be a 3-way battle here in just a moment. And now back on board with Brian, the number 79 of Brian Carey, as they head down onto the front straight. Let's see how much the draft helps him here. The draft isn't quite as useful as it is on the Cadillacs, but you see if it is able to help. Now he's not going to be. He's going to be close, but he's not able to stick it around on the inside of the challenge. And you can see Mike Kelly also just behind Brian Carey there. So this has become a three-way battle once again.
And it also seems interesting that the draft does not seem to have as much of an effect on the front straight. And I often wonder if that is part of the fact that there's that very steep uphill just as you exit onto the front straight that limits the effect of the draft. Because you do get a good draft on that second straight down into turn 5, which is mostly downhill.
Yeah, I think it does have an effect. I think that hill does play, whether it was intentional by the circuit designer or not, I do think that hill does play a part in the draft down that front straight. Because driving on the circuit in the past, I have noticed that the draft does seem to help you more heading down the straight towards Canada Corner or the straight towards turn 5. So I definitely would agree with you there. As we will jump on board now for a moment with Todd Carver as he tries to fight his way back up the field, currently running in 17th. So I think he might have had another sort of incident somewhere on the circuit that we didn't see, because that's fairly down the Cadillac field at the moment.
Yeah, he was battling with Ryan Huff in 12th there not too long ago, so he must have had something happen to take him back down the field.
Yeah, it didn't look like he was fighting any damage from what we could tell. Obviously, we were on board, but just judging by the way his car was handling, I'm guessing that it was just an off at some corner. He ran wide. Oh, and Brian Carey pulling into the pits. So that is going to be, I'm assuming that will be his one and only stop.
And that could be something that Todd Carver did. I didn't notice if Todd had made a pit stop, but it's certainly possible. It would be a time when you could make a stop and get to the end from here in any of the cars. And it is something that in the Cadillac can be something worth trying to make that pit stop, like I believe we see James Cullen there stopping. It's something we see in the V8 supercars a lot, where the idea is to make that stop as early as you possibly can when you can fill the tank up and make it to the end, so that while everybody else is out on their worn tires on the Cadillac, you can get that couple of hot laps on cold tires and possibly jump them in the pit stops.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if you can get out, especially if you can get out in relatively clean air. I know because we do have such a large field of cars running here, that's not always the case, and you sometimes you'll never ever have a clean lap once the cars start lapping each other. But if you do see a break in the traffic that you think you'll be able to use after your pit stop, that could definitely allow you to leapfrog a couple guys as they make their pit stops later in the race, because they were held up by either slower or faster classes, doesn't matter. So that is definitely a viable strategy that you can use, and we are in the pit window for both classes. So that'll be interesting to see how some of that stuff plays out.
And this is Brian Carey after his pit stop in 14th, putting a lot of pressure on Jerry Morsdorf there heading into the kink.
It definitely looks like Brian is faster than Jerry Morsdorf. We could see that there was a bit of damage on the back of Morsdorf's car. Ooh, as Carey goes into the grass, I don't think he needed to quite go that far to get around, but could be he just had an interesting momentum going through that kink right there. He'll get held up behind another Cadillac there as they head down into 13 and 13A. But we'll jump over on board now with Brent Briles, who's currently running in 8th place, passing someone in the pits, and also challenging with Mike Kelly, or not Mike Kelly, that would be Marty Jeffries up there in the Daytona prototype. You can see 3 cars in the pits now. That looks like, I can't tell now. Looks like possibly Jeremy Burris. That is Timothy Stoll right there in the number 77 Daytona prototype.
And also Mike Kelly looks like he made his stop there.
And it looks like a lot of these guys are coming out in some heavy traffic. And just judging by where Timothy Stoll is right now, I believe Brian Carey, as you can see his Daytona prototype up there in the distance, has made the pass on him because in the pit lane. So Brian Carey obviously able to put out a good couple laps there after his pit stop, and took advantage of what I'm assuming would be clean track. Otherwise, I don't see, unless Stoll has some sort of incident that caused him to lose time. Russell Kyle also in the pit lane right now. Saw his red Daytona prototype there just entering. So that means Carlos Passos will inherit the lead for now. Passos and John Kuzlin are 2 of the guys that are well known for getting the most fuel mileage out of their cars, so they usually are some of the last drivers to pit. Ooh, and Stoll, that is a very dangerous move. Generally, you do not want to go side by side through the turn 11 kink. Luckily, both of those drivers made it work, but especially if you definitely don't want to go alongside a Cadillac. Those guys almost always use all the track there, and that was very, very heads-up driving there by Colin McLean to see that Stoll was going to be alongside, and then McLean really slowed his pace down there to avoid an incident. So good heads-up driving by McLean.
It looks like we have Turn 1 Heroes teammates Mike Kelly and Jeremy Burris just behind this group, battling for position.
Yeah, I believe both of those drivers have made their pit stop. So I'm pretty sure that those guys are fighting for actual positions and not, I guess what you would call I don't know, I guess I'm not sure what you would call a fake position. That doesn't sound right, but yeah, those guys currently in 7th and 8th in class, and a few of those, they'll make up at least a couple more spots because of people who have not made pit stops yet. We have Carlos Passos, who has not yet pitted, currently leading. Tim McLeish and Brent Briles running in 4th and 5th. John Rasudos also, I don't believe, has pitted. So there's a few guys that still have to make pit stops, and I think they'll jump up a couple more spots. That looks like some fairly hefty damage there on Brent Briles' number 72 car. And yeah, he's running off circuit right now, so he's just letting all those guys go by because he knows that he does have damage.
And now we've got Mike Kelly coming right up behind Patrick Spence. I believe both of them have probably made a pit stop at this point, with Tim McLeish right in front of them.
Yeah, Spence and Kelly, they both made pit stops, and Kelly going to go on the inside of Spence into corner turn 12, and he'll make the pass. And I'm not sure if I'm not sure if Tim McLeish played a part there in Spence's line or not, but that Spence definitely is not really fighting for position with these guys. He does have to make his pit stop. There he goes. He pulls in now. So Spence will make up a position, and he'll lose one to Mike Kelly. From what I can tell, we still have Carlos Passos and John Rasudos, who have both not pitted in Daytona prototypes. Both of those guys are currently running in 1st and 3rd. And we get a look at the, or a quick look rather, of the Daytona prototype of Daniel Quaroni running. Oh, and that was that Daniel Verness?
Daniel Verness, I believe.
And he gets it. He goes wide coming out of turn 14. Definitely at least spins the car around 90 degrees. Hopefully he was able to avoid any sort of damage. It is possible that you could continue sliding into the concrete barrier they have there on the left-hand side of the circuit, so hopefully he was able to avoid that.
Don't believe he lost a position on that. It looks like he had a fairly large Lauren Bateman, who's already made his pit stop.
Yeah, he looks to be continuing on at a fairly reasonable pace. So I'm assuming that he was able to avoid any damage to his Cadillac. As we are running on board now with Todd Carver, as he drives his way up the straight, passing a couple cars in pits. He's currently made his way up to 9th place. Spence thought about taking a look there on the inside. Don't really think he expected that to be a successful pass, but possibly just taking the inside to either fill up the mirrors of Mike Kelly, possibly force a mistake. It is an easy thing to do, make a mistake there at turn 12, or just wasn't sure if he was going to make the braking points that he wanted and didn't want to run into the back of Kelly. But these guys are they're fighting for 3rd and 4th right now, and actually I believe that will actually turn into 2nd and 3rd in whenever Carlos Passos decides to make his pit stop. He currently has not yet pitted. Russell Cow will be the eventual race leader. He's got 36-second gap.
That was Patrick Spence slow. I didn't see what happened, but Patrick Spence was very slow. Timothy Stoll going by him.
Yeah, Spence has dropped now to 5th place. That's quite interesting because he was at a. I can only assume that if he has some sort of damage that's slowing him down, yeah, and he loses another spot to Daniel Quaroni, and he drops to 6th place right now. I can only assume that he went wide and hit the tire barrier coming out of turn 1.
We're getting a blown motor, apparently.
Oh. Well, yeah, that's quite unfortunate. That's I'm assuming that he was a bit too aggressive on his upshifts going into turn 1 then.
Apparently in the braking zone for 1, maybe aggressive on a downshift. But yeah, apparently a blown motor for Patrick Spence, which is a shame because he was having a fantastic race.
Yeah, that is because he had fallen back down the prototype class a bit, and he had fought his way back up into well, what effectively would have been 3rd place, fighting for 2nd. So that is an unfortunate event for him to have. But that does help Timothy Stoll move up another position, who has somehow managed to fall down the order. He's in 4th right now. He will be in 5th once Passos makes his eventual pit stop. But there's quite there's a fairly hefty gap between himself and Mike Kelly, and we know that they were battling very, very closely. It's actually a 3-way battle with Russell Cow for 1st place, so those guys seem to be a bit separated at the moment. And this is the number 1 of Lauren Bateman. He's currently running in 5th spot in the Cadillacs. Basically all by himself right now. He's got a very sizable gap between himself and Daniel Verness, running up in 4th. And Daniel Gralti is about 3. Well, I guess I won't give a specific number because telemetry keeps shifting around a bit. But there's a bit of a gap there. And this is, I believe that is Ryan Huff and James Mines. They're battling side by side through the carousel. That is some great action to watch. It looks like they might continue that battle, and looks like we lost telemetry. There we go. We're back now. Okay. I thought they might go side by side into the kink. Again, very dangerous to go side by side in the kink, especially if a Cadillac is involved, because they love using all the track there. But good to see James Mines back racing in the GTC.
This looks like a battle that's been going on almost since the beginning of the race here with Mike Taylor and Daniel Coroni.
Yeah, and we're looking at a battle for 5th spot right here. Coroni currently defending that position. And I think these guys, this battle, you're right, this battle has been going on for quite a bit of the race, and it's actually elevated itself, I think, partially to attrition. We saw a lot of mistakes early in the race. I think the first 20 minutes we saw lots of people going off the circuit, missing their braking points, and they've really, I think for the most part, those guys have kept their race fairly clean, and they're up fighting for a top 5 spot. We'll go back to Ryan Huff and James Mines. These guys are fighting for 8th spot or 9th spot rather in class. And James Mines has a good run going on into turn 5. He'll go side by side into the braking zone. And he's going to try and force his way through. Doesn't quite have the pass made coming out of the corner. And actually, Huff gets a better exit out of turn 5 and going into turn 6. So Huff defends on the outside. And it looked like Mines had to scrub off too much speed to avoid running into the side of Huff's Cadillac, and that allowed Huff to continue to maintain a constant speed around the corner and then pull ahead. Good defending there by Ryan Huff.
And that is something very easy to do down there at turn 5. If you go on the inside and can't get that pass done into the...
Oh.
And as I say that...
Well, it was you yourself earlier in the broadcast, Dan, that pointed out if you get a wheel off there going through the kink, it's very, very easy to spin. And looks like you unfortunately picked up some damage to your Cadillac there.
Yes, I demonstrated exactly how easy it is to do there.
And yep, so that will unfortunately, I don't know, did you have to retire the car because of that incident?
Yeah, that was too much damage to continue. I believe I bounced off both the inside and outside walls.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you do end up spinning there, that usually means that you do have to retire the car because the speed there is quite high. And we see Carlos Passos, rather, he's coming out of the pits. He actually comes out of the pits in 2nd place, so he only loses 1 spot to Russell Cow in the pit lane. So I thought that Mike Kelly and Stoll would be able to get around, but he's currently got a very sizable gap of 13 seconds between himself and Mike Kelly. So Passo's staying out, stretching his fuel to as long as possible. I guess he got some nice clean air to run in and managed to... He made up a couple spots there in just by staying out and running his fuel all the way down. So that's a good strategy payoff there for Carlos Passos.
And my impression would be that Mike Kelly and Tim Stoll probably both hit a fair amount of traffic. We saw when they came out of the pits, they both had quite a few Cadillacs to work their way through. I think maybe they got just a bit unlucky in the timing of their pit stop.
And James Mines able to get a pass over Ryan Huff. Probably not the most interesting way. I guess he was able to get by because Huff put a wheel off and half spun the car coming out of turn 6. But it is a pass nonetheless, as we looks like John Kuzlin may now also look to challenge Ryan Huff for the 10th spot. So this is a battle for the top 10 in class right now.
And we saw again there Ryan Huff getting loose in turn 8 just after getting loose a few turns before and allowing James by, and that's probably a symptom of that tire heating issue with the Cadillac, where once you get those tires hot, the next couple of turns especially can be extremely treacherous.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there, Dan. Really, and it looks like Daniel Verness finally comes into the pit lane to make his one stop. Overshoots just a little bit. That'll cost him extra time. But yeah, you're right. You've got your point exactly right, Dan. Once you, like I pointed out earlier, I think it's a natural reaction for a driver once you make a mistake to want to push harder and make up that time that you lost in the very next corner or the very next couple corners. And especially with the way that these tires work on the Cadillac, you can't do that. Unfortunately, it cost Ryan Huff a position and a fair amount of time on James Mines. It's about a 3.5 second gap now, and John Kuzlin is going to be looking to challenge for that top 10 spot. He's just about a second off of Ryan Huff, so Ryan Huff definitely needs to do a couple smooth laps here to kind of get back in his rhythm, get the tires back down to their good operating temperature, and then hopefully he'll be able to continue and defend his top 10 spot, because it is a good showing. Top 10 in the Cadillacs is very, very good accomplishment. The strength of drivers here is just immense. And after pit stops, Todd Carver up in 6th place. So good job for Todd Carver. We saw him back, I think, as far as 17th or 16th. So he did have some issues at the start of this race, but he's fought his way back up hard, and he's currently running in 6th place in the Cadillac. So great job, great recovery race for Todd Carver.
And I believe he must have made that early pit stop strategy, and he's made it work. It looks like he took that early pit stop, which set him back down the field a bit, but as everybody else has been making their pit stops, he was able to put in some really good laps on his fresher tires.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. And I'm just looking at our timing and scoring, and something very odd has happened for the Cadillacs. We've got Eduardo Prado. That's not odd. That he's leading, because we've seen in these first couple of races he is a very, very quick driver. But I'm not seeing James Cullen on the list anywhere in the top 12. That to me means that there was some sort of incident that happened with James Cullen. We know he already made his pit stop, so it's nothing like that. I believe that there was some sort of incident with James Cullen and another driver, and he may have had to retire that car. I will do a little quick research and try and find that out.
And here we've got James Cullen, or excuse me, John Kuzlin, and he is almost a second off of Ryan Huff, looking to make up that position.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan Huff was able to recover nicely after those couple little incidents that he had. So I think he's got his rhythm back, and hopefully he'll be able to maintain that top 10 spot. And it looks like James Cullen taken out by a lapped car in the Cadillacs. So unfortunate incident for James Cullen, but he has had to retire that car, and that will drop him many spots. I'm not can't see exactly where he's being shown, but that will definitely be a setback in the points battle, because it is going to be quite close, I think, this season.
Yeah, I believe every point's going to count this season for the Cadillacs especially. And a DNF is, or a finish way down in the points is really going to hurt when you've got guys like Eduardo Prado and Colin McLean, Mark Payne looking to unseat you from the championship.
Yeah, I think this is probably the season that James Cullen has had his the most competition. Last season he was quite dominant by himself, and I think locked up the championship with a couple races left to go in the season. He is a very dominant GT driver. We've seen that time and time again in the past races, and this season he definitely has some competition here in the Cadillacs. And I think Eduardo Prado, possibly one of the biggest surprises, brand new to the GTC this season. And of course, as soon as I say that, he has also disappeared off of our timing and scoring. And I am not sure if that was because of an incident or if that's just an error. But if that is a because he was had some sort of incident and had to retire the car, that's quite big. That elevates, if that is true, that elevates Mark Payne up into the lead right now.
And it looks like Eduardo Prado did have to retire the car. Did not see the incident, but it looks like he is definitely retired from the race, leaving the lead to Mark Payne. Right behind Colin McLean is about 6 seconds behind him, and then Lauren Bateman another 3 seconds behind Colin.
Wow, well, how about that? The two of the top drivers in the Cadillac field both having to retire their car with, under 20 minutes left in the race. And that definitely has some serious championship repercussions because of that. like we were just talking about, the championship is going to be so close, we feel, this season. And these two guys that were fighting almost the whole race for the top spot, they were fighting the whole race for the top spot in Spa. I think that kind of helps the battle between those two drivers, but that also gives the it leaves a window open for drivers like Lauren Bateman or Mark Payne, Colin McLean, who have been up there, but they haven't been in the first or second spots, and that definitely opens up a bit of a opportunity for them to make up more points. As you can see, I believe that was who was that?
That was Mike Taylor. Like.
Yeah, Mike Taylor going a little bit wide there through Canada Corner. Luckily recovers nicely and continues on. But so this has been quite an eventful race, I'd have to say.
And here we've got Todd Carver. He's 2 seconds behind Julio Palacio for 4th place. So yeah, that's going to be a real nice points gain for Todd after what looked like could have been an ugly race at the beginning.
Yeah, how about that? This has been a great recovery race done by Todd Carver, because like we said earlier, he fell down in the early stages of the race down to 17th or so, and after about the first 25 minutes of the race or so, we haven't really seen much of him. And I think that was just because he's put his head down. He's thought to himself, right, I've fallen down, I'm just going to focus and make up as many spots as I can. And that's been, he's moved because of that, he's moved all the way up to 5th place. Granted that a couple of the top cars did have to retire their car, but still, they've had to retire their car because of some sort of incident, and he hasn't. So he has outlasted them, which is part of endurance racing. I know this isn't one of our quote-unquote endurance races, but you definitely, especially with multi-class racing, I'd say every class is an endurance race to a degree. So just surviving is a part of it's a skill in its own.
And looking at telemetry, it looks like Colin McLean is starting to slowly close that gap in the last 15 minutes here of the race down to Mark Payne. He's shaved a second off of Mark Payne's lead.
Yeah, he's got that down to just under 4 seconds, and and Todd Carver having a bit of drama there coming out of the last corner. Luckily, he manages to save it, but he'll lose a bit of time. But yeah, we could see a battle there in the Cadillacs for the top spot again in the closing stages of this race. We could also see a challenge for 2nd place. We right on board with the man that could do it, Lauren Bateman, and. Not sure if you can see, you might be able to just catch a glimpse of Colin McLean's Cadillac just in the distance. Not the one that's currently running in front of him. I believe that's Lance Snyder, who is not on the same lap as them. But yeah, this could come down to the wire if Colin McLean can put in some good, quick, consistent laps in the final 12 minutes that are left in the race.
And just since we haven't seen it in a bit, we'll quickly update you on the DP order. Russell Cow is still leading with approximately 9 seconds on Carlos Pasos. Then we've got Mike Kelly closing right in on Carlos, less than a second behind him to challenge for 2nd. And Tim Stoll about another 11 seconds behind that battle.
Yeah, it seems like in the second half of the race, the DPs have decided to spread themselves out a little bit more than we saw earlier in the race. Everyone kind of has a fairly comfortable gap between themselves and the next competitor. The closest that I can see would be between John Rasudos, who's currently running in P7, and Tim McLeish just behind in P8. There's about a 3-second gap between those two drivers. Other than that, it's about 8 seconds or so. Oh, and Carl Mumbauer, who is having a good, strong race. He's up in 11th, goes wide in turn 1. Luckily, no damage there. He gets the car stopped in the sand trap. But he will lose some time, but he won't lose positions because the next car is Gilles Moret, and he is currently 3 laps down of the leader, 2 laps down behind Carl Mumbauer. So Mumbauer right now only looking to try and make positions up, which actually he probably won't be able to do. He's got a 45-second gap to the next car. But here's Daniel Verness. He's qualified very poorly in this race, but he's fought his way back up to 10th spot. Ooh, getting on the curbing there, going through turn 13. That was a bit of a scare there, I'm sure, for him. He's very close to John Kuzlin, who is currently running in 9th place. So I think there's another good, strong showing for Daniel Verness, too. Qualified almost at the back. And he's managed to fight his way up to a top 10 spot. So that's a good overall race for Daniel Verness. That's a lot of cars that he's had to pass to get to this current position. Looks like he's pushing his car very hard too. He's kind of all over the circuit right now. Riding on the grass quite a bit down into turn 3. Definitely not the fastest way around the circuit.
No, he seems to really be pushing the car right now, which probably tells me he's got some very hot tires underneath him, which is going to make this car very difficult to keep on the circuit.
Yeah, and John Kuzlin is traditionally known as one of our smoothest drivers, although he makes up a lot of time on the braking zone there into turn 5. That was quite impressive. Of course, John Kuzlin, he's been driving in the prototype class for the last few seasons, so making the switch over into the slowest class GT car has been it's been a bit of work for him to adjust. So he's having a good, strong showing here, running currently in 9th place, and the guy that's chasing him is a very strong driver in his own right. So this is going to be a pretty good battle to see if John Kuzlin can hold on to 9th place.
And John Kuzlin's consistency, his ability to finish races, could pay off very well for him in this Cadillac field.
Well, yeah, that's true, because we saw the arguably the and it looks like it's going to be Daniel Verness who makes a dive on the inside in Canada corner. He'll take the pass with 8 minutes and 20 seconds left in the race, and he definitely looks like he's on a charge, even with those what we suspect will be very hot Cadillac tires, able to push hard. And I think possibly John Kuzlin right now, he's quite happy with his position, and he knows that Verness is a very strong and quick driver. Maybe didn't really fight too hard with 8 minutes left. He probably is happy to bring his car home in a top 10 finishing position, but Kuzlin definitely is one of our most consistent drivers, I would say, and his ability to finish pretty much every race that he enters has always made him a strong contender in our points championship. And Lauren Bateman, we saw him get a little squirrely coming out of turn 5 there, but he's trying his hardest to close the gap between himself and Colin McLean, rather, for P2 in class. McLean, unfortunately, we thought we might see him close the gap between himself and Mark Payne and fight it out for first place. Unfortunately, that gap has been pretty consistently at about 4 seconds for the last couple laps. Lauren Bateman seems to be trying his hardest to charge forward and make up the about 2¼ seconds between himself and McLean. We'll see if he can do that, if he can close up any more within the final stages. That could be could turn into a battle for second place. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see what happens.
And we're going to go back to Daniel Verness, who's really extended it out over John Kuzlin by almost 5 seconds in just a matter of a lap, and is really closing hard on Ryan Huff to try and pick up another position here in the late stages.
Yeah, I think I almost want to say that Verness has a all right, it's the last couple minutes. I'm making up as much time as I possibly can. I'm making up as many positions as I can in these final 8 minutes or so. He seems like he's on a hot charge to try and get as high up the Cadillac order as he can, and it looks like with his current pace, I think he'll make up at least one more position and get by Ryan Huff.
And that's probably a wise move for the championship standings. You know, with James Cullen and Eduardo Prado having to retire from this race, you know, that gives him an opportunity to kind of make up for his low qualifying by at least salvaging as many points as possible towards championship here. While his closest probably competitors for the championship are not getting points.
Yeah, that's very true, because I'm not exactly I'm going to look up and see exactly how far down Cullen and Prado have fallen, but there is quite a large points gap that we'll see between those two drivers and Daniel Verness and Todd Carver, all the guys that have managed to stay in the race. So like you said, this is going to be a really, really interesting season for the points battle. Last couple of seasons, there's been one or two drivers in either class that have really, really separated themselves from the rest of the field and come out as the dominant driver that everyone assumed will take the championship. This season, especially in the Cadillacs, I think it's going to be a lot closer. And looks like it's only going to be a matter of a couple more corners before Verness is able to get by Ryan Huff. He's definitely on the hard charge right now. Huff is going to defend on the inside. Oh, and he's actually going to hold him off. I thought that Verness might be able to get by going into turn 8. He won't. Huff holds him off, defending the inside line there, and it looks like Verness will have to wait at least until they come out of the carousel to try and make another attempt. He might have to wait until they get on the long straight down to Canada Corner before he's able to make a move. Be a bit risky trying to make a dive up the inside going through the kink there, turn 11. Especially after all the work he's done to make his way up the field into his current 9th position. Just doesn't want to throw it all away, just trying to make up one more spot in a kind of a hairy place to make a pass. And again, Huff able to hold him off through Canada Corner. So it's going to be at least one until they get down to turn 1 before Verness is going to be able to challenge for a 9th spot, or 8th spot rather.
And Ryan can often be not a very easy guy to get by. He's a very good racer, very good at defending his position without being dangerous.
Yeah.
Just
very smart driver, I think.
Exactly.
And Huff able to defend his position again going into turn 1. Turn 1 is a bit harder to pass than say turn 5, and you can really tell that Verness is pushing his car to the absolute limit right now. And I'd say that Brian Huff looks a little bit more composed. He seems to be able to he's driving more smoothly, I guess I would say. I think that might be giving him a bit of an advantage over Verness, who seems to be really pushing his car, sliding his car through the corners. And we mentioned it quite a few times that the hot Cadillac tires can really present a problem. He tried to do a little nice cutback there, Daniel Verness. Didn't quite have it, but he does pull out right on the back of Ryan Huff as they head into turn 6.
And we have the leader of the race, Russell Cow, coming right up behind this. That could impact this battle here in the last couple of minutes.
Indeed it could. He's going to catch them right at about the carousel, which is not ideal. He'll probably be able to get through or past Daniel Verness coming out, I would assume, although I don't see him coming into the picture, so possibly not. We'll have to see if hopefully Cow does not try and force his way through. No, it looks like he's too far back, so he'll hopefully be able to get by them just on the straightaway down towards Canada Corner, which would really be the least amount of impact he could leave on this battle. Looks like he gets by Verness. He's going to try and dive on the inside of Huff. That could present a challenge. Oh, no, I thought it might present an opportunity for Daniel Verness to dive on the inside and follow Russell Cow through. It didn't, and it looks like Ryan Huff is going to hold his position for one more lap. And we look at the time. We've only got 1:40 left in this race, and there's not a lot of time left for Daniel Verness to make another pass. He's going to have to there's only going to be a couple more laps left. Probably 2 more.
I bet this is going to be probably the last lap coming up.
You're right. Yep, Russell Cow is going to be crossing the line right about now. So we should see the white flag coming up here quite quickly. Yep, indeed, there it is. So this is the final lap. Daniel Verness has 1 lap to get around Ryan Huff, and if you asked me a couple laps ago, I would have said that he would have had this pass by now. You can see him sliding the car through turn 1. Again, like Dan pointed out earlier in this broadcast, that's going to heat up the tires and make it even more difficult for him to get by Ryan Huff. He gets squirrely coming out of turn 3. That's going to cost him more time. You can see Lance Snyder up there in the Cadillac. It looks like he's going to slow down and let both of these guys through, which is the gentleman driver thing that he to do, because these guys are fighting very close for a spot in the Cadillac class. And it looks like Verness, again, he's very good on the brakes into turn 5, seems to be able to make up a bit of distance there, but he's heated up those tires. He's having to really struggle for grip through the corners. You can see he's sliding the car all over the place, and I think he's possibly pushing his car too hard right now, heating those rear tires up too much, and that's going to cause him to really have to struggle to get by. He gets it wrong going into turn 8, and he's going to be into the tire wall. That's going to cause some fairly severe suspension damage. So again, pushed too hard, he got on the grass, and that's going to drop. I don't think it'll drop him a position. He's still got about 6 seconds back to John Kuzlin, but he pushed the car too hard, and he's not going to get past Ryan Huff.
No, and that all started all the way back at turn 3, where he got a bit wide off onto the grass over the edge of the curb on the exit, and that ruined his run down that straight and gave him no chance to get the pass on Ryan Huff going down into 5, where he was so good on the brakes.
Yeah, and I think that he just pushed his car too hard, and that really cost him in the end. And this is a battle for position here in Daytona Prototypes. It's Tim McLeish looking to get by John Rasudos as we watch the race winner, Russell Cow, get by, or pass the line rather. So he'll take the win in Daytona Prototypes. And I hope we get to go back to that Daytona Prototype battle. It was Tim McLeish looking to get by John Rasudos. And you can see a few guys crossing the line here. John Kuzlin, he'll finish in 10th spot. And Mark Payne will take the win in Cadillacs eventually once the scoring does update. So we have Russell Cow first.
Mike Kelly second there. Carlos Hassos takes third, and Tim Stoll in fourth in the DPs.
All right, and we jumped very briefly back to that battle in DPs for 7th spot was Tim McLeish. He's still right on the under the back wing of John Rasudos trying to get by. He's very close. He's only got a couple of corners that he can do it. Here's some close racing right here between Lauren Bateman and Colin McLean, and Bateman was able to close down the gap between himself and McLean. Only a few corners left for him to be able to get by, though. It's going to be tough, especially with all the other traffic around them.
And that battle in the last lap is close right up even for the lead. McLean less than a second behind Mark Payne in these final corners.
And unfortunately, Tim McLeish couldn't get it done around John Rasudos, so he'll again, but that's still a strong finishing position for him. That is 8th place. Oh, and there is the 09, Mark Payne, scoring points in the first place victory, followed by Colin McLean and Lauren Bateman. So Lauren Bateman, although he was looking like he might be able to challenge McLean for second, not quite able to get it done, finishes in 3rd place, but still a very strong showing in this Cadillac class. Number 91, Julio Palacio finishes 4th, and I'll hand it over to Dan for the points.
And looks like we're going to have to just rely on your vision for the points, as I seem to not have gotten the numbers right. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is updated. Wow, look at that, because Russell Cow and Mike Kelly are tied. I got totally confused. Same situation over in the Cadillacs. Mark Payne and James Cohen tied with 25 points, because of course the previous winners of Spa not finishing. So look at those hugely contested battles down to 7th, just a 7-point spread from the top position. So wow, it was so close I didn't even notice that it had happened. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, like we said multiple times, this is going to be a great season for the championship points battle. I mean, the top 10 guys in Cadillac separated by just 11 points after 2 races. So this is going to be a great season.
And we've got our schedule up here, and let's see. Gonna have to refer to the website for the schedule, because even though you're looking at the correct schedule, I'm not at the moment.
Next track will be Daytona Road at night.
Oh, there we go. All right, back to Daytona. So that'll be a very good time. And last time, of course, we had the 4 GTs mixed in, and without them, I think Daytona will go quite well.
Yeah, well, if this race is anything to go by, or actually the first 2 races that we've had, the 2 hours at Spa and now the 70 here at Road America, if these 2 races are anything to go by, the race at Daytona should be a great one.
Thanks to ISRA League, the drivers, the admins who make it possible. Thanks to Z1 Simwell, once again, announcing their new software package for the LCD display. Well, I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for our thanks. And, thanks to Anthony Muniz and Daniel Gralti for joining me here. And yeah, Anthony?
I was just going to add exactly what you said. Thanks for joining us, Daniel Gralti, league admin, or race admin.
Thank you for having me.
So, see you next time.